Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. I'm in the house today with a friend of mine. I met through another friend of mine, and that's how it works. Devin Johnson's in the house. He's the CEO of Kennected, spelled with a K, an Indy-based SaaS company with over 15,000 users, might be even higher than that now. He is a serial entrepreneur, an inspiring leader, and an adept marketer. Devin directs the daily workflow and is responsible for the overall success of over 100 plus employees and reaching over 30 million in sales and gross total. His leadership led to Kennected being a recipient of the coveted Inc. 5000 ranking. And also he's, what was it? 832% growth in 2021. And Devin has also achieved Entrepreneur of the Year Finalist for 2022. Devin, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. I look forward to spending some time together, man.
Yeah, dude. And, like it's crazy that like when we get in alignment with people that are like-minded and after similar things, how quickly you can become close to those people. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's energy. I think that just, I don't have any other way to explain it. Cause I've had these situations where like I meet somebody and it's a short period of time and there's instant synergy. And this I have with you, Cody, like without a doubt. And I'm looking forward to doing big things with you. But before we go into any further, Devin, I want to ask you the question we always ask our guests at the beginning of the show. What are you made of?
Hey, I'm made of consistency, relentlessness, and just the guy that figure it out, right? So, I am an individual. I wasn't handed anything in life. I had to figure out everything, and so consistency, relentlessness, and just being able to make things happen and not make excuses.
I love this consistency word. I don't hear it much, and I think they need to hear it more. Consistency can get boring. Like,
Yes.
I know I'm in the middle of the tech startup. I'm demoing right now. I get people on there and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know it was going to be you showing up." And I'm like, "No, I show up, son.
Oh,
I
yeah.
show
Yeah.
up, and I do the
That,
same thing and share my story and do the same demo thousands of times, man." But
mhm.
that's what it takes, right?
That was me for 2 years, man. I've done thousands of demos. I can do a demo literally in my sleep. There was times where my wife the next morning, like, you were selling Kennected last night in your sleep. I'm like, come on now. No, I wasn't. She's like, yes, you were. I'm like, oh my goodness. But it takes that. In the early days, how can you build a sales team around, a process you didn't create or didn't perfect yourself as the CEO founder?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And I was in back in the day. I just remembered this. It's crazy, but I did an inventory. I worked for this company in the summertime between college years or whatever,
Hmm.
uh, doing inventory for the company called Regis. We would go into stores and drugstores and card stores, Hallmarks, and we would count stuff. And I would wake up in the middle of the night counting things. So it's the same kind of thing. Like it's that repetitiveness. I am a person that likes variety, though. I talk about this a lot, except for my wife and women. I have one woman, but I like variety because I can't, that static same thing bothers me. So, I go through a stretch where I'll demo for a long time, and then I'll have to take a break, man. I got to do something like somebody else got to step in for a little while, but that's what it takes, dude. And I love the consistency, word, because when you put things together, streaks together of consistency, you don't recognize yourself 3 months, 6 months, a year. And sometimes, and I'd love for you to speak to this, like sometimes you have to take a second, and I say a second because it's got to be quick, to really examine how far and assess how far you've come.
Oh, yeah.
Have you done that?
Yeah, no, I do look back on where I started. I mean, we started from our kitchen table slash, upstairs in my apartment to 14,000 square foot and over 150 employees. So, of course, I've looked back and like, wow, I did this in 4 years, did 3 years of no funding, right? We just raised our first round of capital, about a year ago. So, we grinded, like we put in the work before, we hit the easy button and we got OPM involved, other people's money involved. And, it's so rewarding to know that I worked that hard and I didn't have to sell half my company to be able to put capital work, right? In fact, I've barely sold any of the company to be able to, take in several $1 million in funding and really accelerate and keep great things going.
As much as it gives you a little breathing room and runway, raising capital, doesn't it still like give you a little bit? Oh gosh, I got to now I'm performing for other people, not just myself and my employees, but other people, right? That
Uh,
puts a little charge in there too, though, right?
I actually like it. So I did only take money from people that I genuinely know and are partners, other strategic tech partners. So I'm learning a lot from that process. And the little trick is I only sold common stock in that first round. So what does that mean? And that means that they have a voice to voice concern, but they necessarily can't do anything. So I still control my company,
Mhm.
right? And I sold, 10% of the company. It wasn't a whole lot, right? So, I always tell tech entrepreneurs out the box, like sell, 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 sell until you are just getting hammered with, hey, we think we'd be a good fit for you. Hey, we have money for you. Like attract the money. Don't chase the money and raising capital for tech. And to do it by just selling your product and staying consistent, right? Common theme here, stay consistent. And that's been my whole journey through entrepreneurship.
Yeah, get
Right.
results, right? Get results. The results will be attractive
Oh
to
yeah.
investors. So
Was
go ahead.
results trumps all. Results, numbers, and consistent growth trumps all.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Before we get into your story, I want to ask you another thing. So when you got into Kennected, that's kind of your first tech company, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm in my first tech company right now. I have two going, but the first one's launched and it's a SaaS product and it's a small monthly fee. I come from the mortgage real estate background where we're making like, you know, a lot of money per transaction, right? So I'm having,
Mhm.
and I want to know, like, if you went through this same thing, and I understand how it works, infinite scale, like it just, but like still thinking about like 100 here, 200 here, like
Mhm.
it's hard to wrap my head around $30 million,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Where you're charging what, like $100 to $200 a month per user.
Well, we sold a lot of services in the beginning. So we
Yeah,
would sell service contracts from 1,500 to, 15,000. So, and we
yeah, okay,
still have that model. So we didn't nickel and dime our way all the way, through that 30 million. It was services and reoccurring revenue, right?
yeah, yeah,
Into
yeah, yep.
this year, into this year will be about 12 and a half, 13 million in annual reoccurring. So just over a million a month and
But
those
still,
$89 payments.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But still, let's even go to that number. Like that's still
Yeah.
like for me, because and then when I got into Blueprinted, what we did while the system's being developed, I went out and we used human ingenuity and pre-sold done with you blueprints where we give them a project manager to build their blueprints, and they were like $2,500, $3,000 a package. And I just went out and sold a whole bunch of those, raised 100,000
Yeah.
so some odd dollars while the system was being built still, because that's the
Hmm.
way I think. And that's similar. Okay. So similar to what you did. And
Very
yeah. And then,
similar.
yeah, cause I can't wrap my head around 100 to $200 a month per person to a million. Like I could do the math, but it just seems like it takes too long and I want to move. Like I have this
Yeah.
saying, Devin, thrust is a must. Like that's one
Oh
of my
yeah.
sayings. And so for me, that's the biggest fight for me in this early stage tech so far. And I know it will get to where we're going, but it's just like, come on, man, let's go. So did you experience
Yeah.
that part? Like that impatience that
Oh, every day. And I got to be honest, I experience impatience in multiple areas of my life, not just business, but personal goals, fitness goals, why, been 6 months and yeah, I've lost 15 pounds, but like, still can't see a vein. Like, like you still can't see, you're still not cut up, right? So I do get impatient. I'm a very impatient person. I've learned patience is a good skill to learn overall, and I've gained maturity around my impatience. Like I won't freak out, but like in the back of my mind, I'm like, come on now, come on, we could do this, you know. And I built a lot of stretch goals within the company as well. So
yeah, yeah.
so that offsets my impatientness is no, and then we have stretch goals that they're stretching ahead. And for the most part, we've had a lot of them. We fell short on a few, but we've had a lot of stretch goals. So, and they continue quarter to quarter to impress us. So,
Yeah. And so let's get into your story. I got so many questions I gotta ask you, but let's get into your story, man. Take us back. Like, where did Devin grow up? Like, what kind of
mhm.
life did you have? What kind of adversity did you deal with? I know some of your story, but I'll let you share with the audience. And what kind of catalytic moments did you have?
Yeah. So I grew up in a little town called New Palestine, Indiana. It's about 30 minutes outside of Indianapolis. It is a really good area. It's a really good school district. That is one thing I had, that was really nice growing up. I did not grow up in the ghetto or the hood like my mom and dad. My mom and dad were never married. They were, I would say, uh-oh, baby, right? And so my mom and dad, made it work. And then a year, I was one and a half, my dad got arrested and spent 9 years in prison. So I grew up, going to see him. It was my mom let me have a good relationship, go see him at least once a month. He was 3 hours away in Michigan State Penitentiary. So, it was a good haul, but my mom, made sure I had a father-like figure in my life. And then he gets out, still separated. And, my mom was a factory worker. I then find out my dad, is a drug dealer, or he called it street pharmacist, right? He sold weed and cocaine. I found out at 12 that I pulled down a laundry basket and 2 pounds of weed fell out and hit me. And so he had to explain what he did and why he does it. And that's all he knows. And that's his background. One thing my dad, though, was really good about is he never let me glorify it. So that's one thing for the record. Like he was ashamed that was the lifestyle he pursued. That's what he knew, right? And so divided household, keep moving along, going into high school. My sister gets diagnosed with cancer. It's called medulloblastoma, brain cancer. It's cancer. It was a tumor set on her adrenaline gland, and the cancer is spreading throughout her brain and down her spine. The odds of surviving the surgery were less than 1% just due to the placement and where they had to cut. Long story short, she's still with us today. She survived the surgery. She's walking, talking, living a pretty normal life. She's about to turn 21. So, and graduated high school, normal high school. Like, God is good. That's where I really gained faith, was watching that evolve. But going back to that very moment, almost in that same week, my dad, comes in, says, "Hey, I've got a really bad, opioid addiction. It's even a little bit of heroin now and then boom, gone for a year." I mean, he was there for like the first week, giving mom a little bit of money, then boom, gone, and for a whole year. So when that happened, like fight or flight instinct kicked in. I was like, shit, this is like real. This is a dark time. And so my mom's job immediately fired her. She had to move into the hospital. And so then she came to me and was like, "Hey, we're gonna have to live in the Riley Children's Home," which is really nice, like temporary living for children that have to live in the Children's Hospital in Indianapolis. And so I was like, no way. My school district, my friends, my everything I know, I can't lose that. And so I started selling shoes to help mom. And then I started a trade show eventually. I started hustling and grinding. That's when my entrepreneurship really started. I got my first flip was LeBron 9 All-Stars. It was called the Big Bang. I got them at retail, flipped them for a $400 profit before I got back into my friend's car. Like, got them at the store, flipped them in the parking lot, gone. I was like, $400 just like that. Bang. Addicted. I was addicted to it. And the only reason I knew about shoes was my dad had several hundred pairs of shoes. And I was always like, why do you have so many shoes? He's like, oh, I collect them. It's a thing. And so I started getting into it, understanding that there's releases and whatnot. So really started hustling shoes just out of a must and really helping mom out. Get started grinding, stacking cash, helping mom, and then dad came back into the picture. I started a trade show then when stuff started to ease up a little bit, and then started to build a website. Learn how to attract people. My largest event, I had several thousand people and 120 vendors. I was a senior in high school. It's called Indy All-Star Sneaker Expo. So you can still Google it and find the YouTube videos and the recap, but that was my largest event in high school. So I learned to market, relationships, buy in bulk, buy low, sell high. I learned all these business lessons just by trying to figure it out in high school. Like, that was my childhood, And for all those that are going to listen to this and wonder how I had time to do all this, when my sister got sick, the Board of Education identified me as head of household. And so I went half day to high school, almost all 4 years. As soon as I got my license, I went half day and still carried a full workload.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, look, I mean, there's always roads we can take when things happen. Right. And I haven't always been the taking the best road. I got off track, you know, and when I went to college. I didn't drink until I went to high school, and I started drinking when I was 18. I'm sorry, I didn't drink in high school until I got to college. And then I saw girls and alcohol and then marijuana. And then it leads you down this road, and it feels good at the time, man. It feels like you're in the right track. It feels like this is what you're supposed to do. And man, it goes to dark places. And so that was my offshoot of going on the wrong path. But for the most part of my life, I've always chose the right road, even when in adversity, because of the upbringing. So it seems like you've chose that narrow road, which is the one that's least taken. And it's led you to be where you are today. How old are you, Devin?
I'm 25.
25 years old, like CEO of a tech company, working on other tech companies, partnerships. How did Kennected come about? And can you explain Kennected to the audience?
Yeah, so I'll tell you the backstory, and then I'll tell you what we do. So as the trade shows and everything was popping off, a little app came out called StockX. And what it did was it put transparency on the sneaker resale market. So let's say the average resale profit margin back in the day was $100. It took it to like $20 because it said, don't pay more than this. And by the way, don't buy them from Devin. You can buy it right from our app because we have every shoe, every inventory at the best price. It absolutely changed. I mean, it is still rocked the sneaker market, right? Like people are still making money and making six-figure incomes from flipping shoes, but carrying triple the amount of inventory, right? So, StockX came out, really disrupted things. I pivoted into digital marketing, and that's where I met Cody. So I met Cody at a crossroads.
Let me stop it for a second. So when that happened, because a lot of people go through this, right? Like even in a mortgage business right now, rates are skyrocketing. I have a mortgage business and our business went down 65%. Well, like I didn't control that part, but I do control how we react to it and the feelings that you have as you're going through it. At that moment when that happened, do you remember the feelings and emotions you were dealing with and like oh shit, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
I gotta figure something out. Can you speak to that before you go further?
Yes. So, that was I would say some of my really immature days. So I was like, why me, but try me type. So I started to pivot quickly and, I felt a lot of anger. Like I always felt like, why is this happening type, throughout my whole childhood. But, I always sucked it up, to say the least and figured it out. I knew how to build websites because I built it for myself with the shoes. And so with that, I just started building websites for people. And then, I'd get $2,500 and maybe it cost me $300-400 time I do graphics and, hosting and everything. So I was like, oh, this is real, quickly realized, wow, I can make some good money doing this. And that's where I met Cody. Right. And at that time, I was very egotistical. I thought I had it all figured out. I was about the transaction. I was not about the relationship. And I had a lot to figure out. I was tied to the almighty dollar, or what I thought was making a lot of money at the time, which looking back, it was pennies, right? And I was just a shithead. I mean, I was just so full of myself, right? I wasn't doing drugs or drinking or partying, or I never struggled with that, but I just was way too egotistical. And so when I met Cody, he started talking about God and faith. And I'm like, oh man, I'd be honest, I don't really have a faith focus because why, if God was real, why did my sister go through cancer? Why did my dad, battle a heroin addiction? And why am I in this, why? And so he started explaining it, and that's how our relationship kicked off. And for everyone listening, Cody's my business partner nowadays. We've been rocking since I was 18 years old, but we started by him leading me to faith, right? Me finding God, me finding a bigger purpose, me understanding real relationships. I got baptized in his girlfriend's apartment at the time, and we flooded the entire apartment. I was 100 pounds heavier, almost 100 pounds heavier than I am today. And so I was like a beluga whale jumping into a full bathtub. And so the water cascades over the freaking tub. We use every towel, every shirt that was in the dirty clothes to clean it up. But like all within 5 days of meeting each other, right? Like no faith to baptized in 5 days. And within a few weeks, we're doing business together. So, and he was teaching me it's not about the transaction, it's about the relationship, and then how you can reap that, reward or transactions over and over, time and time again. Right. So he really opened my eyes to some amazing things. All while now my wife supporting me through this egotistical release and learning my faith. And my wife was my girlfriend at the time. We've been together since junior year of high school. So she has seen all of this. Egotistical shithead Devin to he's figuring it out, kind of at the low, rock bottom business wise, to, nowadays a whole nother different spectrum, right? And she supported me through all of this. So between her and Cody really helped me transition and pivot into now Kennected. So we were doing digital marketing, selling websites. Really, if you said you had money and you needed something marketed, we would take the money and figure it out. Like,
Yeah,
I'm being honest.
yeah,
There were
yeah.
few times that we had to end up giving the money back. We had a lead from the front principle that we've carried over to Kennected. So like if we could not fulfill the project for whatever reason, we ended up just refunding a few people. But like it was the grind, man. Like you would say, we would have no idea what you wanted, and we would just YouTube it and try to figure it out. So we sold so much stuff that was just way out of our league. But anyways, we about 9 months into that, we were like, man, starting from zero every month is such a bummer, right? Like the eighth wonder to the world at that time for me was reoccurring revenue. And so I was using LinkedIn to build relationships in Indianapolis, to get coffee meetings, to sell websites, using that relationship side of things, right? I learned how to build my profile up to position me to be, the awesome entrepreneur, young hustler, marketer that I was, right? And get me into doors that, 19, 20 years old was tough to get into.
Mm-hmm.
But LinkedIn was that pathway, right? But it was taking hours. I mean, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week to get these meetings, but it worked, right? That was our only lead gen at the time. And so then we started doing it for clients manually. And then I drew out how to automate it. And that was called Kennected, right? My partner's like, no way, you're not going to figure that out. We're not tech guys. No one believed in it. Partners didn't believe in it. We had Cody, Steven, Brandon, Elliott. At that time, we kind of created every weakness me and Cody had. We went and found a little partner to fulfill and work with. And, so I was like, all right, cool. I'll figure it out. Kennected it was. I went through onlinejobs.ph. That's where you can find overseas talent for development or branding or, anybody listening to this, if you need help but don't have a big budget, onlinejobs.ph. You can name your price, name your project, and people will say, yes, I can do it or not. Long story short, bunch of people, jumped on, said that they could build this thing I wanted to call Kennected. And I'd meet with them. They're like, actually, I can't. So this one individual referred me to a guy, and then he referred me to a guy, and I met Arpan. Arpan was like, no problem, man. He's from India. No problem, man. I'll build it.
That sounds like a Jamaican accent.
He's got a Jamaican/Indian accent, man. It's wicked. He's that northwest region of India, So he made a product and a working bare minimum product in 30 days. It was ugly. It was bad. It was really bad. But in 40, 45 days, I sold over $70,000 worth of product. And the partner's like, what the hell are you selling? I was like, it's this thing called Kennected that you didn't believe in. And so what we do is we save time and simplify opportunity on LinkedIn by automating the outreach process for your sales, your lead gen, your recruiting. Just think, if you wanted to use LinkedIn but you don't have the time or know-how or the education, we don't only teach you, but we automate the entire outreach process so that you can focus on actually building real relationships and closing the deals versus manually doing the task on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so we've scaled that. You know, you have my older bio, 15,000 clients. Now we're over 20,000 clients worldwide and businesses that are using Kennected. And we've really built it into an enterprise level focused program where it's simple to use LinkedIn to its greatest, potential and integrate into other tech stacks. Kennected evolved, the name evolved into making sure LinkedIn connected into your process. It's not just connecting with people, but connected into your process. So
right. And so what the level of users did you see a kind of explosion?
Well, we did a AppSumo launch. So on our very first product, and we gained like 4,500 users just through that. And so AppSumo is like lifetime deals, right? It's for tech products.
Yep.
This was version 2.0 where it was self-sustaining, self-downloadable, but it was still ugly. But those 4,500 users transpired into, hey, this is real, like this is legit. And then we were able to upsell a good portion of those and evolve them into Kennected 2.0 or Cloud Connect, and then now eventually Kennected 2.0. So that was our real kickstart was getting an AppSumo deal. If you were in technology, you're listening to this, you're wondering how to get a big jump, try to get an AppSumo contract. I mean, you'll gain several thousand users with almost no work involved, and they take a percentage of the revenue that they sell for you. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on affiliate partnerships right now with a 30% partnership. So I mean, that's AppSumo is a no-brainer. I've heard of it, but I didn't. I guess we should look into that for Blueprinted for sure.
I got a really good relationship with them. I've launched now 3 products, about to do a 4th on AppSumo. So it goes to 8 million tech users. So your product goes out to 8 million people that buy SaaS and look at the deals. And they handle all your refunds and people that were just looking. And so they handle all of that for you. And then you get your cash in like 60 days. And then you get all that data to resell.
That's the key too. Yeah.
It's the data.
You don't,
100%. Yeah, it's a nice little injection of cash. But if you never do anything with that data, that bulk of customers, because they paid for lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually going to hurt you more than help you. You need to resell to that data and bump sell.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the power of getting around people that have done something that you haven't yet. You get information like this, and anybody that's successful is most of the time willing to share and help other people. And that's the way I've always been. And for you guys listening and watching this, I mean, this is what happens. Get around the right people. So as we wind down here, Devin, what's the vision for the future? Kennected for you guys all together. I mean, there's breakout. You want to talk about that, whatever you want to talk about, but what's the vision for the future, at the end of the day? So.
Yeah, I'll let Cody keep the breakout talk for him. I know he's going to jump on the show. But Kennected 2.0 is right around the corner. Kennected 2.0 just allows you to automate any and all top of funnel through first party data. And so we have a massive database. We basically bolted that to the front end and created workflows for all platforms. So LinkedIn, WhatsApp, text message, email, Facebook, Instagram, like anything you could dream of how to hit your dream client in the inbox. We have built that in Kennected 2.0. So the future is being the number one first party data sales enablement product in the world. And so going into next year, third party tracking goes away. So that means all your retargeting ads, all your super targeted ads now become billboards, right? And so your customer acquisition cost is probably going to jump 3 to 10 times on a conservative guess, right? Depending on your product, industry, and what you're doing. But if you go to first party solutions like Kennected, you can now maintain and have a consistent lead flow with predictable ROI and predictable spend and not really be affected by it. But everyone that's doing all paid ads right now, if you're not switching over to first party data solutions like Kennected or Kennected 2.0, you're asleep at the wheel. My friend, third-party tracking goes away January 1st, 2023. Look it up. It's going to change the world of the way people market. And so you have to start pivoting now.
Love it, man. Thanks for all that information to my audience, to me as well, Devin. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. I want to thank you for your time. I know you got back-to-backs, and so do I here coming up. So I'm going to let you go, man. But like I said, look forward to helping you any way I possibly can with any connections or any way I can help. That's my superpower. And just thank you for being on the show. What's the best way to contact and engage with you, or where do you want to send the audience?
Yeah, just my name on LinkedIn. You type in Devin Allen Johnson, it'll probably be the first one that pops up. Same thing with Instagram. It's just my full name, Devin Allen Johnson, at Devin Allen Johnson, DevinAllen. Feel free to shoot me a DM. I'm a very big giver, just like Mike. So if you need help, you need insight, please just let me know. I'm happy to be a resource.
You're the man, Devin. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Keep coming back. If you like the show, hit a comment on YouTube or review the podcast and subscribe to your favorite podcast platform. We're here for you. You know, I'm doing this because I want to give back. I build relationships through, so I do get something out of this. But at the end of the day, I can build relationships several other different ways. But I do this for you, and I want to continue to give to you. So let us know. Give us some feedback, what you'd like to see. And I appreciate all of you. I love all of you. And until next time, be unstoppable.